No.
There.
Kathy Moffat.
So there's a thing in this video. In the one
We're
You're gonna
yeah,
have to
we're
be
recording.
specifics. There's like 4 things I need on. So say again.
I have it in video.
Yeah.
No. That's like black hair.
She's traveling. Her sister is getting married, and she asked her sister to please get married in between board meetings so that she didn't have to miss it. So she is gone.
Sort of.
Yeah, and we've got notes on the door, so it's fine to do that. We can hear, like, you can hear it upstairs and I mean, we're right above, but like you can, usually it's just like muffled. You can hear word for word, like everything that they're saying.
All the levels all the way.
Yeah.
Protests.
They wouldn't understand because they are trying to sound out the.
Okay, so Andy, there still isn't anyone else online.
But if I agree to them, they.
And I know people are able to get online because Kathy got on, so.
What we say is that.
If no one shows, it seems like we should still be able to put the seclusion restraint on the board.
More so than we ever had in the past.
Oh,
Because they.
And then would we be able to go ahead and use this graduation evaluate our students for in line with the state?
Oh, we've got people joining now. We have Dora and Pat joining, and Carl. There we go.
I wonder if I can be able to. Should I go ask them to turn on the microphone?
I mean, I wouldn't be upset if you did, even just a little bit.
You stop and discuss vocabulary. You stop and use current talk. You use straight question and answer. Because the whole point of this read aloud is it is a writing lesson. If I want students to be able to write
they're on a
essay for the state, I would start doing that in younger grades. So for example, in first grade, yes, they're not physically holding a pencil during this writing lesson, but they are giving me text-based responses. I'm asking for evidence. What did you hear me say that you think that? I'm asking them to change their opinion after
I have to admit, I don't know our policy well enough to know if a quorum has to be the designated members of the committee, just board members.
It was a
Chairs
Zoom.
here. I'll have to find out though. All right, so we do have Pat on, or Member Higgins, Member Wilson, and Member Jacobs online.
Okay. That's a bunch. We'll go with that. I'm going to call the meeting of the governance committee to order on Thursday, March 23rd at 1:09 p.m. We're starting a little bit late, waiting for people to sign in. We'll recognize other members as they come on board. We'll start by having folks in the room identify themselves and then go to online and have everyone online identify themselves as well. We'll start with our executive secretary.
I'm Amanda Foster, the Executive Assistant to the School Board.
Andy Holloman, board member.
Sven Gustafson, Chief Academic Officer.
Helena Batman, Director of Indigenous and Migrant Ed.
Paul McDonough, Supervisor of Indigenous Ed.
And folks online.
This is Carl Jacobs, Board Vice President. I'm not a committee member, but I'm here to listen and participate. Just as a point of personal privilege, it sounds like someone's listening to something in the background. Maybe it went away just now, but I wanted to flag that.
I was going to mention to everybody, there is a meeting going on in the main boardroom and it's bleeding through the walls severely. So what can you do? Other folks online?
Go ahead.
Dora Wilson, Board Clerk and Communications Chair.
So collectively 2 hours.
And this is Pat Higgins, school board member.
Knowledge, like in my classroom, I did a 15-minute between lunch and
Kathleen Moffett, Director of Admin Projects.
right after math. I put it in where it was.
Maybe the board, the meetings to the rooms, doors are closed or something to make it a little bit quieter would help.
We have all the doors closed.
Okay.
And
Wow.
we actually turned it down out there.
Yeah.
It was worse, I'm sure you.
And two.
So, yeah. Moving to the first item on the agenda, the revised board policy 5142.3, restraint and seclusion. Mr. Gustafson, do you want to speak to that?
So this is the, when we had the settlement with the Department of Justice, one of the items that we had to do is rewrite and adopt the revisions to the restraint seclusion board policy. And so the document that we presented here is the red line document of all those changes to that policy. We're looking to hopefully move it through governance into the board with these changes.
Anyone have comments, questions, suggestions, amendments?
Get out that grade, not being able to.
Mr. Chair, this is Carl. So I think you noted earlier that I think technically our committee doesn't have 2 of its 3 members. I think your other members are Member Donnelly and Member Lessons, correct?
Other than like.
Correct.
Okay. My suggestion would be that the committee I guess it would you at this point not take any formal action today. And if, absent, maybe just based on the discussion, you could just recommend President Bellamy add this item to non-action at the next available meeting if there is an objection. But I think it's just kind of a quirk we need to be mindful of today based on who's present.
I was afraid someone might raise that technicality, but I think your point's well taken. So given that we don't have an actual quorum of the membership, I'll say that we won't take any official action as a committee today, but I will ask President Bellamy to put this on the agenda for our next board meeting, if no one has objections to that.
And Mr. Chair, this is Carl again. I don't have any objections. I just wanted to throw that out there in terms of the best process. So thank you for hearing me out.
Yep, no problem. Any other comments or questions regarding the restraint seclusion issue?
Now we're looking specifically at what a school classroom kiddo needs.
Hearing none, we will move to the revised AR 5127D, graduation regalia. Does everybody have copies? And again, we won't take formal action, but we do have staff members here to speak to it. So if you'd like to take a few minutes.
Sure, I'll have Paul
We have a
go
lot.
over the graduation.
You have to use your teacher voice. Will you ever have a teacher?
Yes, I was. All right, I will have my supervisor for Indigenous Ed go over the graduation regalia as he's been working on it longer than I.
Thank you.
Kind of getting deja vu. This is how many times gone through governance now. I think I'm really proud of this draft. And at the top, it's always included all of these stakeholders. Very, very active dialogue. Spends a couple double time, Kirsten, Senior Director Johnson. It's a really inclusive project. The main reason for the red lines here now is it's what the community has wanted for several years. And we just kind of eased into this with like adornments first and then fully replacing the cap last year. And now full cultural regalia, you don't have to wear the school issued graduation attire. The intent of the policy is to capture the community voice around that. It also does now allow us to comply with the new state law. So that's kind of the other reason here is it like the state has ushered this as a community desire as well as us too. the changes we made between this and the last approved AR is just simply to replace the count. Everything else here is basically just red lines to support that and to take out any superfluous like exclusions at that point. Anything else to add?
Any questions from our attendees online?
Mr. Chair, this is Carl. I just wanted to thank Paul and his team for the work. I'm excited to have this transition into hopefully its final form.
Can I ask, so we were hoping that we could go ahead and run with this because we need it. Graduations are just over a month away and we want to get it out. And I know that normally it goes through the full governance. And now that we don't have everybody, what can we do? Can we go ahead and use this?
I'm gonna offer up the same suggestion, that it be passed to President Bellamy, go on the agenda. Obviously, we can't make a recommendation.
This is an AR though, they usually don't go on to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Carl.
Yes, no,
So- Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So because this is an AR, even when there's a full complement of governance committee members, there usually isn't a vote held. And so it's usually absent objection. The AR takes effect. I don't even think the ARs, I guess maybe Mr. Gustafson could clarify. I don't know if they even go to the full board for passage on the consent agenda. It just takes effect after governance. So I think we're good.
I think it's
okay. I apologize because it was listed with board policy number. I'm sorry, it wasn't actually. It says AR on it. So we heard it, and it's an opportunity for folks to comment on it. But yeah, the committee would not normally take action or need to without any kind of strong objection. The administration can make it so.
All right, thank you.
Tell the superintendent said to make it so. You can say number one. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Member Donnelly isn't online, so we can, I don't think we should.
Okay, so we can continue to not take action.
I mean, yeah.
The next item on the agenda is proposals by Member Donnelly on ceremonies and observances. Without him here to speak to it, I'm going to suggest that we simply skip that. If no one has an objection, then we will put that on our next agenda.
No objection.
Okay. That brings us to item 4, which was brought to the committee by Member Higgins. And Member Higgins, do you have actually a written proposal for us to read or look at?
Yes, I do. I sent both of those to you, emails, by the way, but that's okay. It's kind of hard to find with as many emails as we get, right?
I haven't received anything from you, Member Higgins, and
Oh, I sent it to Andy, and I figured he would be the one that would do that. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull it up real quick.
Okay.
And because I don't send that many items compared to what I get all the time, so what the heck?
Just for future reference, I highly recommend sending it to Amanda instead.
Yeah, I would have, and I have regret not doing that, but so be it. Here we go. There were 2 issues. Which one are you referring to? The audit committee first?
that's all we have on there. You had said that you were going to do a write-up for your proposal for an audit committee.
Okay, and I did, and I didn't include the initial language about be established by be appointed by the president. I just simply said I would call it the Operations Audit Committee. And I can forward this to you, Andy, right now too, but it reads, the audit committee shall recommend operational audits to the full board. The full board will review and approve all operational audits. The goal of the operational audits is to utilize outside consultants to work with ASD administration to investigate operational issues and efficiency. The scope of the operational audits shall be established by the Operations Audit Committee, and the outside consultant will present its report with the recommendations to the committee chair. And what I didn't include in here is that the intent is that the operations, that the auditor will be working with the administration jointly to be able to conduct the review. So this is not a adversarial relationship. It's simply an outside review. What can we do to improve things? And how well are we doing? And this has been something that has been going on, I know in the 80s and on, and it wasn't stopped until within the last 8 years, 10 years in doing it. And some of those reports are on the board, and I think you can see the value of them. Now, the board voted 7-0 to prefer this forward, to go forward with an audit committee. I'm just hoping that we can have a discussion here real quickly, just to the intent, and if we do, let it go forward and make revisions then, because there are a lot of things that could be looked at that would be beneficial.
Well, I'm going to say, I don't think we're unable to send it forward with a recommendation one way or the other, because I am a member of the committee in attendance. But this kind of gets it out on the table, and I'll go back and pull your emails and make sure the committee members have it in advance of the next meeting, and take it up at that point. And I would say we could still go ahead and be contemplating which operational audits we wanted to see happen soonest or earliest, because I do agree with you. This is something that's been done historically, and I think has a lot of value to it. So I don't think it's controversial at all.
No, I don't think so. And I mean, one of the things is every so many years, it's recommended that you have a comprehensive curriculum audit, and it's so many decades overdue. It's unreal. There are issues in regards to procurement that an audit would have a chance to review over some issues. I think a review of the process we use when we have employee concerns and how they're handled, because there have been a number of issues out there in regards to that. And when you talk to people now, they don't have a clear understanding. So recommendations how we could do that better would be real beneficial. That's just a few of the recommendations.
Okay. So yeah, we will move this on to our next governance committee agenda and give it a full discussion at that time, and we'll have the written stuff in front of us, and we'll be able to vote. Hopefully there'll be a quorum of the committee at that point. Does anyone else have any comments or questions or suggestions?
Mr. Chair, this is Carl.
Member Jacobs?
I just want to say that I support, yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I just want to say that I support the proposal by Member Higgins. I think it might be helpful before the next committee meeting to have more information from administration as to their thoughts on the proposal, any proposed improvements, and then if we could have information available, or at least a reasonable estimate about cost and where we can pull those funds from. Obviously, we're in a challenging fiscal situation. If we're using external consultants, that's not free. And so I want to make sure before it goes to the full board that we're eyes wide open about the financial impact and more details there. But I'm excited to have those details and further discuss in the next governance meeting.
Yeah, if I can respond to that too, what we've done in the past has always been to utilize the Council of Great City Schools, and we get experts from different school districts that excel in some of these areas to come in and review. It's costing us, I think, a complete financial audit. I mean, a complete procurement audit that we did in purchasing and all was somewhere around 20 to 30,000. When we did it for everyday math on that issue of curriculum, it probably cost us that much or not. The only thing we're paying for is transportation and per diem for them. Everything else is something reciprocal within the Council of Great City Schools. It's one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to eliminate a relationship with Council of Great City Schools when there was a proposal for that. But we haven't, and we never have, to my knowledge, used any sort of high price external auditors for these things. It's always been the Council of Great City Schools, and we could include that in there, that would be the expectation to take advantage of that. That's real cheap. When we did purchasing, and it cost us about $20,000, I think, to do the audit, they charged us, and I think an extra $40,000 to rewrite entirely the purchasing policies. And the estimated cost at that time was $500,000 savings per year. So the real impact of this is great, and the cost is minimal.
It would be nice if Dr. Brian, us could take a look at that proposal before, so we can talk to it at the next governance meeting, if that's possible.
It's not even possible. It'd be recommended. I like the idea. This is not, we should not be doing this as an adversarial type situation, but rather cooperatively. The reason why it reports to the board rather than to the administration, because if there's any questions or issues, it's not suppressed. But we haven't had that problem, but that's the reason why boards have always done that. And it makes sense to me that the board shows the leadership here. NSBA makes reference, the board should, the boys, it provides directions and ensures accountability. And this is how we're meeting our expectation.
I'll make sure it's circulated to administrative staff as well. Any other comments or questions or suggestions?
On a separate issue?
Say that again.
I have a separate issue.
Okay, on this business item. Hearing none. Member Higgins, did you want to speak to something else?
Yeah, we've had the issue raised, and to address the issue of that when we do staff appeals, and we're required to do it because the state of Alaska statutes and in regards to doing it. Now, traditionally, I would have said we don't want to get involved with this at all because it runs into a conflict with the municipal charter and the merit system standards that says, hey, elected officials shouldn't be involved with anything below the executive level, which is policy making and public advocacy positions. But we're required to do it. So the issue became one of what should be the standards that we should be using. Are we saying if we are an employment at will and we can fire and hire whenever we want to, we'll let people fire for reasons that really are detrimental to ASD. So the traditional way of doing this, I looked at it from a human resources standpoint, and I will distribute this document as well, but basically says the board recognizes the need to establish standards for conducting hearings in accordance with state of Alaska statutes, provides provides management with expectations the board will apply in reviewing appeals from staff regarding disciplinary actions. That's a big issue, and the superintendent is absolutely right. We don't know how you're going to review what we're doing, so it's unfair, and I agree with that. The second part I wrote is that the board will apply the following standards. All management actions must be legal and in compliance with board policies and union contracts. That's open. Disciplinary actions are taken for conduct that is reasonably established for the employee's position. In other words, they are expectations that are reasonable within that. And that all disciplinary actions are taken after the standards for a fair investigation, reasonable conclusion. That's a legal standard of what is out there that says if you look at it, you should have asked the employee, you should have done that. You listen to it and you reach a reasonable conclusion. We shouldn't overturn it, even if we have a personal opinion. But if it doesn't meet that standard in a court, they would overturn it. I think we apply the same standard. And then the other part is the board will not overturn management disciplinary actions when the expectations outlined above are met. So we're not going to, I just don't feel good about this. We're not trying to do that, but we want people to know what standards we're applying. And I think we need to reach a conclusion on that. And once again, I think this one's, we'll forward this on, give it to the administration to look at, and then have their response for it when we meet.
Okay. Do you have that in a written form?
I have it all written out.
Okay. If you'll forward that to me as well.
I will.
I'll circulate it and include Amanda on that. And
Actually, I pulled both of these up from an email that went to you, but I'm gonna do it differently, to, and send it again. Which is okay, I see typos.
I appreciate a number of the points you raised, but this also is an extremely complex change in policy. And so it's, I think, going to take a lot of discussion and looking at moving forward.
I think in this case, it's not so much a change in policy, is that we don't have a policy. We don't have a standards here, and everybody looks at it differently. And so we've got to come out with a standard. And I appreciate that.
Yep. Any other questions or comments from members online? Any other new business from anyone online?
Sorry, the complete digital, they will have a.
Not hearing anything, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn from myself. I'll second it. And if there's no objection, we will adjourn. And hope for one day. Thank you for coming. And
thank you.
Yeah, have a wonderful afternoon.
Recording